Welcome to another wet and fishy smelling episode of Cinematic Anarchy. Where today we're going to be talking about two of the worst films in Jaws history, I want to say. The ones that killed the franchise for the most part. Jaws 3D and Jaws 4, The Revenge. And today we're going to be discussing these films with the nice woman who put this on the map for me again, Miss Beverly Price. Hello.
Hiya.
I will be honest, I've watched the first two, and knowing the reason why Roy Scheider decided he did not want to be part of the Jaws franchise anymore, I was reluctant to watch these two films. He decidedly had such a bad time filming Jaws 2 that he committed to like an extensive deal with Columbia just so that he was never available if they called him back.
Yeah. And I think for Jaws 2 as well, he only did it so he could do all that jazz. I think they bribed him that way.
Yeah.
Which is another interesting film.
It's like I don't know if you know the story behind how they got Bill Murray to be in the original Ghostbusters, but they had to commit to a passion project of his.
Yeah, that happens a lot, doesn't it? That, we want you to do this, I will bribe you by doing what you want to do.
And he's well known for Ghostbusters, but that passion project, you have to look for it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he was in that. Oh, all right. I think he thought of himself as... Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, it's probably the same with Roy Scheider as well. Probably not a lot of people know all that jazz. I only know of it because I'm a big Bob Fosse fan, so...
I am aware of all that jazz. I believe somewhere in the back of my mind, I have seen all that jazz, but it was way back when I was still living at home with my parents.
Yeah.
So, is it fresh in my mind? Never. No. Couldn't think of a thing. I can see his face.
I remember there being... All I remember is towards the end when the character's dying, there's a hospital scene, and there's people dancing around a hospital bed. That's about all I can remember from it.
Which could be any, like, hospital-based sitcom now. They always seem to have that episode. That one person who seems to have, like, musical amnesia or something, where, like, everything they see is a Bob Fosse stage play,
Yeah. If we see it in the new series of Scrubs, we'll know they would have got it from here.
So I'm going to rattle off some quick stats for Jaws 3D, which is going to be the first film that we talk about. Jaws 3D, a PG-rated film that came out in 1983, about an hour and 39 minutes long, starring the likes of, I'm just going to say Dennis Quaid and Leah Thompson, along with Louis Gossett Jr., because those are the only people I recognized when I went into this film. There was one woman that I looked at and I go, that cannot be who I think it is. I thought the waitress, the one that was like madly in love with the first guy that got killed in the film, I honestly thought that was a young Jennifer Coolidge because she looks and sounds spot on.
Yeah.
So you Jennifer Coolidge from American Pie, the mom, Stifler's mom. Thought wasn't. I had to Google that because I could have sworn, and no, it was not. It just happens to be the woman that Jennifer Coolidge said, you know what? You know that trashy Jaws film? That is what I'm going to build my entire career off of. That waitress. Jennifer Coolidge did it better. You have to admit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And this film, Jaws 3D, which it's god-awful for the fact that it is a 3D movie, and I watched it in 4K with no 3D glasses or anything, so none of the 3D effects were applicable.
Yeah, same here. I can't do 3D because of my stigmatism. 3D doesn't work for me, so...
And this film, it does not focus on Chief Brody himself, but the sons of Chief Brody, Michael and Sean, who I didn't maybe I was not paying as much attention as I should have to the original films, but I thought there was only one son in the original films, and
No, there was two. There's always been two. Okay. What's more of the problem is the ages. Because I don't think they age right in the series of films. It's a bit like the Griswold kids in the National Lampoon films. The ages seem to just jump about rather than actually fit the timeline.
Oh, they sincerely did not. This is 1983. They would have still been preteens, if I'm not mistaken.
So when was Jaws? Was Jaws 73?
Let's see. Now you're asking me a question I have to look up. The original Jaws film was 1975. Okay, maybe not preteens.
No, so maybe
second was 78. So they were probably what, respectively, 5 and 6 in those films?
Yeah.
So they might have been like early 20s at that point, right? Late teens?
Late teens.
Right. They definitely skipped a few years.
Yeah.
A good 5, maybe 7 years aged them up a little bit.
Yeah. So. They definitely don't feel like they should be running certain parts of SeaWorld anyway.
No, definitely not. And Dennis Quaid has notoriously said that this entire film... So we have two guys here. Michael Caine, who can't remember the film that he was in, it just said it bought a nice house for his mom. And Dennis Quaid, who notoriously has gone on record as saying that the entire time that he did this film, he was high out of his mind on cocaine.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't remember any of that. I was really high at the time. So this film follows the brothers as they confront the sharks. So this is What If Jaws, but SeaWorld.
Yeah.
What is your first experience with this film?
So I stumbled upon it probably just before I started writing the first book, actually. And again, I knew of its infamy, but I'd already watched Jurassic Shark by that point, and I thought, well, it can't be as bad as that. And it's not, but it definitely is not a good Jaws film. And I think that's ultimately the problem with this film, is its connection to the other two.
Even by 80s standards, this was not a good 3D film at all.
No.
Just some of the terrible effects alone, the floating arm near the beginning of the film, and the explosion and the Jaws smile at the end of the film.
Yeah, when the shark is heading towards them, and that very, very slow.
Oh, I forgot about that. I watched this film, so I apologize. I watched this film last minute as a family event last night with my son. And there was nothing but laughter from that point through the rest of the last little bit of the film.
Yeah.
So there was such ridiculousness through the closing moments, what should have been climactic moments of the film. Starting with the slow motion, no, as Jaws heads straight through the glass panel. If you saw him coming, wouldn't your first thought not be no, but run?
Yeah.
Like, get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I feel like I could have made a cup of tea, come back, and the shark still would have been coming towards me.
They could have played the entire opening music just for that thing. No.
Oh, no, that's far too fast for the speed it was going. They'd have to put it down. Like if you got the record playing, you turn it down to 33. It would have had to have turned it down.
Just slow-mo. Slow down the music a little bit. We're going to waste 7 minutes of your time while this guy slowly edges his way. There's no speed, no nothing. But I think they were going for another 3D moment at that point, going back and forth between them looking at the shark in surprise. And it also makes me wonder why that shark didn't just ram through the glass at the original time that the mother popped up. Because this was two sharks, not just one. Baby shark and mama shark.
Don't say baby shark. That'll start.
I was
going off my head.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna get into the song. I did that last night, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, shut up." Just, this is my first experience with this film, and when I first looked up the film, there were pleasant surprises matched with horror at the same time. Because I wanted to look at the IMDb stats a little bit, and I realized I popped in. I'm like, okay, so Richard Matheson, of all people, had something to do with the writing of this film.
Yeah.
Which took me right out of it. I'm like, the guy that did like I Am Legend and did Somewhere in Time made Jaws 3D? Like, at what point did he think, you know what I want to do next? A Jaws movie. But I guess, like, he was the guy that got it directly after another set of writers that decided that Jaws 3 should have been an absolute spoof on the first two movies. Like, it should have been like Airplane or something to that nature.
Yeah.
Which I think if they had stayed on, they would have realized that's what this was. It was a joke. It's like, Jaws 3D was a spoof on the first two movies anyway, because it was an absolute joke. Then I saw that this had gotten 5 award nominations, and I was like, how in the hell?
I know we could go with this.
And then I looked into what the nominations were for, and I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. It was 5 Razzie Awards.
Yeah.
They were nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Supporting Actor, Worst Director, Worst Screenplay, and then Worst New Star. That just kind of tells you something. That their worst new star wasn't an actual human being on set. It was Cindy and Sandy, the Shrieking Dolphins.
Yeah.
And I would like to contest.
They lost as well.
I would like to contest. Cindy and Sandy did a better job than most of the humans in the film.
Oh, definitely. That strange little swirling twist thing that they did as the film ends. Perfect.
Oh, what was that? Right. It was that I had to wait 15 minutes to start the second movie because we were dying laughing. I had literally spit like the beer that I was drinking out of my nose. I was just them in the water floating in the aftermath would have been perfect, but then framing it by 2 3D twirling dolphins was weird.
It felt like a sitcom ending. Do you know what I mean? Rather than the ending of a film.
Right, you're waiting for the music from Seinfeld to cue up, you know?
And some canned applause or some canned woos or something.
Jerry survived the shark. Oh, jeez. Oh, I will tell you that I recently watched Conan the Barbarian, and I reached out to my friends over at the Strange and Beautiful Book Club podcast, and I said the only thing that made this movie tolerable the entire time through was every time that a shark popped up and was involved in something. In the back of my head, I had Arnold Schwarzenegger dubbing lines from Conan the Barbarian into the film.
Well, as the shark was saying them.
Right, as if it was an inner monologue for the shark.
Oh, brilliant.
Because I think that would have made the movie at least tolerable. I had to do something to help myself laugh. It also didn't help that nobody else knew what was going on in my head. So I'm laughing at moments that they're like, what's going on over there? Oh, no, I watched another movie and I'm just kind of mentally intersplicing it with this film. Just... this is one of the worst films that I've seen in a long time, but I kind of like it because it was so bad. Like, I understand why the people that were involved in it hated being involved in it now.
Yeah.
but I like it for how bad it was. I don't understand at this point why they haven't gone through and like edited down or edited out some of the bad special effects for 3D for releases that are not 3D.
Maybe they just don't think it's worth the money to put into it, because that's what it always boils down to, doesn't it?
Well, in its current state, if you were to play it on like a 3D enabled television or I think a PS4 or 5, you can like put on the old glasses and watch it as if it were a 3D film. Not that I will ever do that, because that gives me a headache. The old glasses, the red and blue ones.
Yeah. And from what I've read anyway, even if you had the 3D glasses and watched it in 3D, it's not actually that good either, because of the way that they rendered the images, because you can tell it's almost like a green screen effect, that they're not actually part of the film itself. It's something that they've kind of added in post. I mean, I don't understand the technical side of things of 3D, but apparently it never worked properly anyway. So
this movie, even without the 3D parts, is littered with terrible 80s green screen effects.
Yeah.
Whenever you get a 4K or even Blu-ray version of a film that was filmed in, well, I mean, grainy green screen effects back in the 80s, it only highlights how bad those effects were. You really have to watch a film like this on like an old CRTV with a VCR.
Yeah.
You know, this... Oh, well, thank you for clearing up how terrible that was for me. I appreciate it. Which is why I had trouble getting like 4K versions of like old like trauma movies like The Toxic Avenger and stuff like that. But at the very least, Toxic Avenger was all practical effects.
Yeah.
That's just me saying, if you're going to watch a movie from the 80s on a 4K television, make sure it's mostly practical effects, not special effects. Because you'll be highly disappointed. It'll take you right out of it. Who do you think presented the worst acting in this entire film? That's a hard one.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of pointless characters. Like Leah Thompson as the girlfriend wasn't really needed. I'm not saying that she was particularly bad, but she wasn't really integral to the plot at all. She was just there as a love interest. And the boss, Lou Gossett Jr., again, wasn't really needed. If they just stuck with Simon McCorrick's character and then just the Brody brothers, that's really all that we needed.
The only reason I liked Louis Gossett Jr.'s character in this is because he realized that his character was technically not... It was a driving force to certain scenes, but it wasn't really integral to the entire movie. Like, his decisions made some of the, scenes happen, but you didn't need a star like Louis Gossett Jr. in that role. You could have had like a nobody.
Yeah.
Reason I liked him in this is because he went and actually did the research. So he could basically, in his head, this guy is a former athlete. He's a New Orleans native, and he kind of affected a lot of those characteristics into the role.
Yeah.
So he kind of made the role his own. And I think I watched a few movies lately where we've said, I'll mention Conan again, with James Earl Jones, where it feels like there's a person in this film that did their research, came to act, and then the rest of the people around him were just like, well, why aren't we doing this? Because if everybody came and did their research like Lewis did, I think the film would have been a little more entertaining.
I mean, you could say the same for The Exorcist 2, The Heretic, for James Earl Jones as well. He seems to be in a completely different film to everybody else.
Oh, James Earl Jones is a scene stealer. He like comes and he is like just a force every time he is in a movie.
No pun intended.
Maybe I intended that pun just a little bit.
So what do you think about the fact I was
Okay.
going to say, what do you think about the fact that the film is technically ripping off Gorgo? Because we have the taking of the baby child, so the baby shark
Okay.
or the baby Gorgo, and then the mother, or at least in Gorgo, it's the parents, coming along then to save their child.
Oh, you actually make a very valid point. I wasn't even. What do I think? I'm now thinking about it. That's. Oh, I didn't draw any parallels because this film just felt like a joke. So, but now that you mention it, yeah, now it makes me want to go back and watch that film again too, just to kind of draw a better comparison because it's been a while since I've seen
Yeah.
that. Uh, ooh, just I'm just mulling the film over in my head over and
Yeah.
over again, so it does get a sigh of exasperation from me every time I think about it. Uh,
I think the main problem is sharks aren't that maternal as well. So it doesn't make sense from a nature point of view that the mother would really be that bothered that her child had been taken, which obviously when we come to the next film,
right.
logic be damned for these films. But I just pointed out that, it's not like a whale where they're known for being a bit more kind of family orientated.
I feel like this film in general, or the film franchise in general, presented some characteristics of sharks that normally don't apply, especially with the fourth film, which we will get to.
Yeah.
This film in general, it was a more of a maternal revenge thing.
Mm.
Uh, I just, I like that. Okay, my brain is going back to some other facts that I had queued up for a moment. I like the fact that I feel like Louis Gossett Jr. was acting in the spoof movie,
Yeah.
not in this movie.
Yeah.
I feel like he got the spoof script first and said, "Well, I already prepared for this, so I'm just going to continue with that." This was so I understand why Leah Thompson was in this film because it wasn't. It was she was a nobody back then, specifically because this is her first feature film.
Mm-hmm.
So she hadn't gone on to do the Back to the Future stuff and Howard the Duck. But it seemed like she was essentially in this film to start a trend, which continues through to the second movie of being the butt of sex jokes.
Mm.
There is an uncomfortable amount of sex related jokes in both of these films.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing it was a staple of like 80s horror films back there. You have a lot of my zipper's down or he talked about his dick quite a bit. And I was like,
I suppose the sex comedies were quite a big thing as well in that time frame as well. So I think they were probably trying to appeal to that crowd as well, with those sort of films, which again have aged poorly in a lot of cases.
Well, my son asked me, he said, how did people find this kind of like attitude attractive back then? I go, this is in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. This was everyday life. Guys acted like this, unchecked, constantly. There's a reason we are where we are right now and why guys are being called out for X, Y, and Z constantly because they did some bad stuff as they were growing up. And now they're like, well, now that I look at it through 2020 glasses, maybe this guy was sexually harassing me or definitely, I understand. I watch these films and it's cringy to me now, even though I remember growing up watching some of these films going, oh yeah, that was normal.
Yeah.
Shit, I remember my dad. He was a womanizer, even though he was kind of married to my mother. He would hit on anything that moved. Literally. And my mother is sitting right next to him and she's just smiling. That's just him.
Yeah.
No, Ma, he's hitting on the waitress and he's hitting on the bartender and he hit on this lady over here. You're his wife. Smack him in the head. What are you doing? But yeah, I think this leaned into the sex comedy thing without quite being a sex comedy.
Yeah. Because it's a PG film, so not that stopped many of the sex comedies in the 80s either.
Well, this is still a PG film prior to, I think, the use of a PG-13 rating.
Yeah. That was Gremlins and the Indiana Jones film, wasn't it? That kind of caused that to come about.
They pushed the need for a PG-13 rating. So this film still had a lot of things that technically should have been PG-13, but they just hadn't gotten that out there into the world yet. I watched Barbarella, and there was a lot of stuff in that film that I was just like, how is there nudity, tons of sex jokes, a lot of sexual innuendo in a film like this, and it's a PG film? How is Barbarella PG? This is just shy of being a softcore porn.
Yeah. It's called the 70s. That's what that is.
Right. But they hadn't created the PG-13 rating yet. So, and I think by today's standards, that a lot of that stuff would have pushed it into an R rating.
Yeah.
I hate to say. So they were really lax with PG ratings.
Talking about comedies from the 80s, I recently watched Student Bodies.
Oh.
and there was a bit where they kind of stop the film and there's a bloke behind the desk and he's talking about the R rating and he's saying that, to get an R rating these days, you have to have like full frontal nudity, violence, or, sex acts. This film has none of these. So our producers asked me to tell you to fuck off. And that's how they got the R rating. And then the film just carries on and you're just like, that is just genius. That's absolutely brilliant.
I think in the PG-13 world, you're allowed to drop one F-bomb.
Yeah.
Right. So technically,
nowadays,
back then it would have pushed it to R, but by today's standards, it would have just pushed it to PG-13.
I know. Weird, isn't it?
So, that didn't age well, but yeah.
To be fair, Student Bodies isn't actually that bad compared to what I was expecting it to be for a 1980s comedy.
Yeah,
Student Bodies.
I have to continually explain to anybody in and around my son's age, because he just hit 21. I have to continually explain to him that when you watch comedies from the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, actually any film really from those eras, you have to look at it through the goggles of that decade. Because you can sit down and find a lack of appreciation for a movie if you're only looking at it through the goggles of the current year, really, the current decade. 2025, if you watch a movie from the 1980s, you're going to pick out like 90% of that movie and go, wow, no,
Yeah.
And this film was filled with it.
Yeah.
Getting back to the film, I understand a lot of the disappointment that people had in making this film and the next, both films, 3 and 4. It was a jumbled mess.
I'm surprised it actually got to film at SeaWorld itself as well and promote itself at SeaWorld and not some sort of generic sea land or something like that. So it was a very weird kind of product placement for SeaWorld.
They got to film
out of it very well.
They got to film at SeaWorld. They used animals from SeaWorld, but then they created something that wasn't part of SeaWorld at the time. So those underwater tunnel things, it's where I don't think existed at the time. I think that they tried to do something similar to that, but it was not a local SeaWorld. It wasn't the one in Florida. I think it was either the one out in, I think, San Jose, California, or possibly even one of the overseas ones. I want to say they mentioned Abu Dhabi or something to that nature, but I didn't go that deep into the research, wondering why the undersea world didn't exist. Like that was a complete fabrication. This film in general did make one record. It was the highest opening weekend gross for a film that was done in 3D up until Spy Kids 3.
Okay.
So this film in its opening weekend had made $13 million as a 3D film. And then I think Spy Kids broke that record by about 20 million when it came out in 2003. So it took a little over 20 years for them to break that record.
And I'd imagine now that's been broken by the Avatar films.
Probably several times over, yes. Yeah. And they do a 3D version of almost everything now. Like any decent action movie. I watched a couple movies in 3D that if you watch it on DVD now, I don't need 3D for it. Like, was it what we watched in the theaters? Like the original Wonder Woman movie was done in 3D.
Marvel, not interested.
No, that's DC. Wonder Woman's DC.
That was my knowledge there.
We'll draw the line at superhero movie. Not interested.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with superhero films is that if you're a really big fan of the comics, then you realize how many plot holes and how badly they did with the storylines from those comics. If you're not a fan, you're mostly just a fan of the action and the passive knowledge of the characters. And I don't think that's enough to build a 400 film franchise out of. I am looking at you, Marvel. Yeah. I'm not trying to bad talk the Marvel films, but I think I was out shortly after Endgame. Because that was the end for me, literally.
Yeah.
Nowhere to go after that. Okay, you guys, I guess the UK got an edited version of this film. But it was only cut down
TV,
by...
we did, yeah.
It was cut down by... No, even the DVD releases were given a 7-second edit to cut down on shots of the worms emerging from Overman's mouth and the mutilated body after the attack. So there were 7 seconds of the film that were cut out for UK DVD releases and VHS releases way back when, those were the only two options. I believe that's been corrected since then. You can get...
I was going to say, because when we were speaking about this, I said I couldn't find it on any streaming services, and then I was flicking through the channels and then found out that it was on Sky Movies. And yeah, I don't particularly remember that scene being short, so I would guess that they must have put, but mind you, 7 seconds. I mean, I don't know how much difference that would make.
I'm gonna go ahead and let you talk about something we started chatting about before the beginning of this podcast. Cruel Jaws in 1995.
Yes.
Because one of the things about this film is that some of the unused footage and some of the used footage for this film was re-edited into that.
Yes. And that's part of the reason then why it was sold to some of the other countries, because it's an Italian film, as Jaws 5. So as far as some countries are concerned, there's a 5th film, but it's Cruel Jaws. And the end scene of Cruel Jaws is then used in other shark films as well.
Oh, you're going to go make me watch this film, aren't you?
Yeah. There's a very infamous... The way the shark dies at the end of Cruel Jaws is used in 2 other shark films. And the fact, because it's so well known that you know straight away what film it's from. So it's weird that they chose to use it in other films. And while we're down the road of Italian shark films,
okay,
there's also The Last Shark, which is such a copy and paste job from Jaws that they actually got sued for copyright infringement.
Really?
And and that film, Last Shark, has Vic Morrow in it. So it is worth a watch. I mean, again, talk about people being not in the soberest state of mind making the film. From what I understand, Vic Morrow spent most of that film drunk. So it's obviously theme for shark films to, you know, be a little bit high or drunk to make your way through it.
I mean, certain shark films, certainly. I imagine some of the ones that were taken a little bit more seriously, people might not have had to have been drunk, or when you know that you're doing almost like shot-for-shot remakes of something else, though, or you know somebody, oh, God, this is definitely plagiarized. We're going to still do this? Yeah, okay. I need a drink and possibly a bevy of powders and pills, please, because, ooh, I'm going to need something to get through this.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by the numbers on this film. The film did it grossed. It's still a Jaws film. It was in 3D, which was a novelty back then. So worldwide, it still grossed about $87 million, which is probably why the Michael Caine production even exists. Because it made enough to justify a fourth film, sorry. I'm still trying to wipe this one out of my head. A third film. Let's get rid of this.
Which is what the fourth film does.
Yeah, I mean, it officially murdered the franchise, yes. They definitely, I think, spent more on, I want to say, cast than they did actual production. Because you still have Dennis Quaid, Louis Gossett Jr., who was a big name back then. I guess Dennis Quaid was just kind of coming into his own at that point. He had done several films before this. Not going to spend a lot on Leah Thompson. Bess Armstrong was still in the early stages of her career. But I'm guessing they spent more on cast than they did production, or maybe they spent a bit on getting permission from SeaWorld to do this garbage there.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if a high proportion of the budget went to paying SeaWorld to get the name to be attached to the film.
I think they recorded a bunch of this in SeaWorld, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They used different areas of SeaWorld. I've only ever been once.
Hiring out the animals, or hiring out the animals, for want of a better word, probably cost them a fair bit of money from SeaWorld as well.
Yeah, I may have been a little drunk watching this film last night. I remember vaguely yelling out "Free Willy" every time a dolphin or a dolphin, a shark, or the whale jumped out of the water. Just "Free Willy," just.
Yeah, I must admit a fair amount of wine was consumed when I was watching it the other night as well.
I watch bad movies with glee. I am happy to watch bad movies, but there's the occasional one that midway through I'm just like, I could use a drink or two. We still have an hour left? Yeah, definitely 2. This one required 3. But it's because I watched both of the films back to back, so this was a 3-hour plus excursion for me.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll talk about the fourth film in just a minute. We'll get to that. Yeah. There was some things in the fourth film that I was just like, oh, do I need a fourth? Maybe. Is there anything in this film that you felt actually worked well for a Jaws film?
Oh, no. As a Jaws film, no. As a shark film, like I said, even though technically it doesn't make sense because it wouldn't be true, but the concept of the mother coming to save the child, or the baby, that is, even though it's been used before, is an interesting idea. It just didn't work as a Jaws movie, because the whole point of the Jaws movie is that very first shark, attacking the area. So, right. Yeah.
I kind of felt that this was, and I know you had mentioned another ripoff just a few moments ago, but I feel like this might have been a slight ripoff of the original Friday the 13th film.
Yeah.
Where they killed my baby, now I'm going to kill you kind of thing. Yeah, Mother Shark was definitely Pamela Voorhees.
That's what I was going to say. These two films do almost feel like slashers as well, rather than shark films. Like, you took the shark out and replaced it with a human. You've basically got the same film. It's just a slasher.
Right. I mean, that's what it felt like, is that they were leading in, because they were definitely post Friday the 13th, the 3D version of Friday the 13th. So their whole thing back in the 80s, when you got to a trilogy in a horror film, for some reason it's Jaws 3D, or thankfully they waited for the 3D for Nightmare on Elm Street to like film 5, I believe. But you can't do Nightmare on Elm Street 5D. You just
yet
in the fifth dimension.
Well, it's a shame we didn't get Jaws in space, because that's usually where the franchise goes as well.
Well, the Sharknado took care of that.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
They did sharks in space, I believe.
Well, there is a film called Space Shark, if I'm honest. So, or Shark Side of the Moon.
Shark Side of the Moon. Okay, I believe.
Well, that
if you
exists.
Look up,
I'm not making that up. It exists.
There are so many shark films out there at this point. First of all, I think you could do an entire book on just shark films alone.
Yeah.
But that being said, I believe that if you were to go and just enter the word shark and any other random word, a film is going to pop up associated with it. Because I think it's like I saw like a stairwell shark movie or a bathtub shark movie. Anything that might have water close to it.
Oh, I don't think it even needs to have water close to it. There's a film called Ouija Shark. We've got Dino Shark.
There was a futuristic one, was like a dimensional shark movie.
Yeah.
Which is like if you mixed up Rick and Morty with sharks, I guess. Oh.
There's even a film that's actually called Bad CG Shark, just so you know from the beginning what you're getting into.
I want the people that did the Velocipaster movie to do a shark movie.
Well, there is Shark Exorcist.
Shark Exorcist. Okay. No, there's a Shark Exorcist movie?
Yeah.
Was somebody possessed by a shark? Or was the shark the exorcist? I'm just... Okay, I have to go find Shark Exorcist. Because now that's what it brings up. I'm picturing either a shark in priest's clothing... or I'm picturing somebody possessed by a shark. Like, I think there's a were-shark movie, too. Like a werewolf shark movie. There's so many weird shark films. And then
there's this versus one as well. I'm sure there's a were-shark versus something as well.
That sounds like a sci-fi movie, like the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
Which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there you go, is Sci-Fi. The Sci-Fi Channel is the most egregious channel for reusing stock footage of their own films in other films.
Yeah.
I remember watching a whole bunch of like shark movies, and I'm like, okay, well, that big boat is in that movie, and that shark is in that movie. That exact scene, that 5-minute sequence is in this other film. You can't hide 5 minutes worth of film in another film.
Well, they learned it from Roger Corman, so, you know.
I feel like if you're going to take an entire 5-minute sequence, treat it like Kung Pao Enter the Fist or something.
Oh.
Where you dub it over with something to kind of make it a little bit more acceptable. You can't just use the entire 5-minute segment as is. But then Sci-Fi Channel still exists, so I guess not that many people called them out on it.
And if they stop making the films, and I don't have content for my books, so you know, I keep saying that as well.
Exactly. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to Jaws 4, unless you have anything else you want to say about this film.
No.
So they waited 3 years to do a sequel, again involving the Brody boys, Mike and Sean. Deciding this time that the catalyst to the story is going to be the mother. We've killed off Chief Brody. by a heart attack. The mother is insistent that he's died of fear.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Yeah, no, it was fear that killed him.
The shark didn't kill him, Mom. No, it was fear of the shark. So I want to know if Roy Scheider ever popped up and said, wait, why do I remember Chief Brody was a badass in both of those films. Yes, a little paranoid.
Understandably.
Deservedly so, yes.
Yeah.
And she, is it Lorraine Gary? Is that what her name is? Yes, Lorraine Gary, playing Ellen Brody, was definitely paranoid and fearful of the shark 90% of the film.
Yeah. Apart from when she had the psychic connection, don't forget, to the shark.
Well, there was a psychic connection. She had a psychic connection with the shark. The connection of the shark. Oh my God, I don't even know how to talk about it. The shark had a connection with her. She had a connection with the shark, and it was the shark from the first two films, I guess.
No,
wasn't it?
I think it's a family member. It's almost like the shark has become the mafia, and we'd killed two of their family members. So this now shark has decided to get revenge.
So okay,
literally, on the Brody family, even though it is brought up in Jaws 2. They ask, Chief Brody asks the marine biologist in that film, could this be a revenge attack? And she says in the film, no, sharks don't have a concept of revenge. And then 2 films later, they went, oh, no, that marine biologist was wrong. They do have a revenge boner now.
We literally have Jaws the Revenge.
Yeah. This time it's personal.
Oh. So essentially for Jaws 3, we have the original Friday the 13th, where Mom goes after the kids that killed her kid. And this is a ripoff of all the other ones where baby boy comes back to kill everybody else for killing Mom.
Yeah, basically. Although, I think, though, in the continuity kind of thing, so Jaws for the Revenge happens after Jaws 2, because as far as that film's concerned, Jaws 3 never happened. Just to...
Yeah, really... I mean, they really don't mention a lot of what's going... I think there's a passive mention, I believe. Michael passively mentions to who was his girlfriend at the time about going off to do research somewhere else, and that would have broken them up as a couple, and he keeps trying to convince her to go along with him. Which I think is the only little bit that kind of leads to where we are, him traveling to do research elsewhere rather than staying in SeaWorld. The first thing that takes me out of this film is we have Michael Brody and we have Sean, and they are played by entirely different actors. So you already couldn't get Roy Scheider to come back to play Chief Brody. And now the people from the original film, even though it made enough money to put money in their pockets, or the not original, but from 3, the original sons would not even come back to do this film.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would have been sold, hey, you know what? We're going to do this film. It's going to be Jaws, but in the Caribbean. Why?
Yeah.
Because why? Great white sharks don't go into that area. That's why.
Yeah.
The shark wants revenge so badly it will travel into an area where great white sharks technically don't live and don't swim and don't do anything. You don't see them down there.
Yep. And also, if Elaine Brody is so scared of her boys being attacked by a shark, then the best place to take them is a fucking island surrounded by water. No, don't go inland. No, don't do that. Don't go into somewhere that's completely landlocked. No, let's go to somewhere surrounded by water.
It's... First of all, this is a Christmas film.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Hashtag Jaws the Revenge is a Christmas film.
So Jaws the Revenge is a Christmas film because it starts in Christmas and it is Christmas Eve in the Caribbean. which Mario Van Peebles as Jake is very loudly says, "Fucking Christmas Eve, and you're making us." Okay, I don't know why I instead of doing a Jamaican accent, I decided to go for Scottish accent there. It's fucking Christmas Eve, donkey. Fuck.
Also, can I point out, with the Christmas theme, though, we've got that very first kill where we lose Sean at the very beginning of the film. And they kind of, I don't know if it's an intentional kind of Black Christmas homage, but obviously he can't be overheard being killed by the shark because of the Christmas carolers that are singing far too loudly. And I'm just like, is this meant to be like Barb's death from Black Christmas? Or
right?
What?
Yeah, I think that's a trope that kind of follows in other movies where it's too loud. Somebody's playing music too loud, or there's an argument that's going on that's too loud, or something, and somebody's being killed 5 feet away, murdered, and they're screaming at the top of their lungs, and nobody hears.
So originally, though, it was meant to be that it was Chief Brody if they'd managed to get Roy Schneider to come back, and I don't know why they thought he would if he hadn't come back.
Never going to happen.
No, but it was going to be him that was going to be killed then in that opening scene, and that's part of the reason why Roy Schneider said, "No, I'm not coming back for you to just kill me in the opening scenes." So then that's why they replaced it with Sean. The only problem I have with this is if the rest of the script stayed the same, then Ellen's romance with Hoagie, after her husband only died months earlier, would have been really, really uncomfortable compared to the fact that we don't know how long he has died of fear of the shark before she starts dating again.
I think technically it would have been days earlier.
Well, yeah.
Because here's the weird part. This is why this movie makes no sense, because I feel like they're still preparing for Christmas around this time.
Mm-hmm.
They're preparing for the caroling on the docks while Sean dies. They have this whole scene on the beach where there's no snow suddenly. There was snow everywhere, and then there's no snow. Okay, Amityville, I don't know what you're doing with your snow, but it's weird. And then suddenly we're in the Caribbean and it's Christmas Eve. So I feel like this is all within a week to 2 week period at best, which would make Brody's wife, I don't have any polite words for what that would make her. I really don't.
No.
I'm ready to move on. It's been 5 days,
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is technically what Hoagie is harping to her the entire movie. Like, you need to move on and put the shock in your past.
Yeah.
Michael Caine also acting in a completely different movie.
Yeah.
He's still in his like blame it on Rio phase or something. This movie was also nominated for 7 awards. And won one of them, surprisingly. 6 Razzie Awards. Lost all of those, by the way. And this is where we establish the term Bruce the Shark, which follows out into other movies. They use Bruce the Shark for several things, including an animated film where the lead shark was called Bruce.
Oh, that's Finding Nemo. Is it Finding Nemo?
I'm not sure if it was. I think it is Finding Nemo, yes.
Yeah.
It's either Finding Nemo or there was a Fish Tales or something to that nature.
Shark
Tale. There we go. Shark Tale.
It's whichever one had the vegetarian shark, and yes, he was called Bruce the Shark.
Yes.
And also because he was called Bruce, he was also Australian, because obviously Bruce being a very Australian name, apparently.
The one award that was won in this film... I'm sorry, I think I cut you off.
No. Okay.
I'll give you just a moment. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. It is still recording on your end, regardless of the technical difficulties.
I upgraded my broadband as well, so we wouldn't have this problem. And obviously didn't upgrade it enough.
I'm going to bear with you just a minute. We're getting our reception back. Seemed to have dipped out for just a minute. The audio is kind of clipping out for a second, and we will hold on here for a moment. Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you back. We had a slight reception dip there, so we'll edit out all of that over here. I'm going to leave the part in where I said we had a reception dip because I like to remind people that we are a low-budget podcast, to say the very least, and technical
cross-country.
Yes. Technical snafus definitely happen, especially when we're recording over the pond. It's a big distance.
This isn't a fake accent. This is actually my true accent.
So we were discussing. Well, we were discussing several things, but I believe I was trying to bring up the point that we had 7 actual awards that went out for this film. We were talking about Bruce the Shark.
Yeah.
And we had one winner in this entire grouping. Lorraine Gary actually won the 1988 nominee as Best Actress for a Saturn Award for this. So it wasn't an Oscar-worthy performance, but it was definitely a Saturn-worthy performance. So she somehow won the... She also was nominated for Worst Actress at the Razzie Awards the same year. So she almost got a Best and Worst Actress nomination in the same year.
Which has happened, but it's usually for different films. It's very rare that it would happen for the same film.
I mean, nothing against Lorraine, but she had to act psychically connected to a shark the entire film.
Yeah.
In a film that you're supposed to take it seriously.
And she came out of retirement as well to do this film. So she'd actually retired from acting, and they convinced her to come back for this film.
I'm sorry. This is the thing you come out of retirement for?
I know.
Okay.
Which makes you wonder how much money they were paid between convincing somebody to come out of retirement and building a home for somebody's mother. They must have been paid a fair amount of money.
Well, let's see. So our budget for this film, and Michael Caine alone, they had to have paid an extraordinary amount to have him in this film.
Oh, and then paying to travel to Barbados as well. So they got a holiday out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that they didn't pay much. I feel like they just flew everybody. Maybe Coach
in Hoagie's plane. They flew them out in his plane.
We're gonna use this Hoagie's plane to fly you out to the Caribbean here, and it had to have been the second plane now. So that's what you're seeing right there. Is the very ending of the movie is actually them taking off to go land at the Caribbean. They just used it as the ending of the film.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out which ending was worse, the ending from this film or the ending from the last film, from Jaws 3.
Well, in the world of spin-offs and sequels and that, there is that line that Michael Caine says, and I can't remember it perfectly, but there's something that he ends the film by saying, have I ever told you about the time that I flew some nuns to somewhere? And I'm thinking that needs to be the follow-up film. The film of Hoagie flying nuns to wherever he was meant to go. And then the plane crashes and now they have to fight sharks. Him and a group of nuns.
I mean, I think he was talking about 100 guitar-playing nuns.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. All singing the music from The Sound of Music.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus loves you. Yes, he does.
Oh, boy. Apparently there was a lot of things edited from the original film to fill out spots from the original Jaws film. Especially interactions between Chief Brody and his son Michael, which they use to kind of draw a connection between Michael and his daughter.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make this movie sound better than it was, but...
And the fact that they then felt that they had to cut to the original as well, going, see, look what we're doing. Can you see what we're doing? And it's like, yeah, you, I would work that out without you giving me the sepia flashbacks.
The second that in the early portion of the film, they say there's no possible way that this shark can follow you down to the warm waters of the Caribbean. You knew that the shark was going to follow them down to the warm waters of the Caribbean. I need to look it up because Bruce the Shark there did manage to close quite a bit of distance from the killing of Sean down to, like, did it immediately go, you know what? I know where she's going next. I'm going to meet her down in the Caribbean on
Maybe
Christmas
Maybe
Eve.
took him in the plane.
You know, I had another passenger before, this shark.
Yeah, it's called Bruce. Nice lad.
I am terrible with accents here, so I went Australian for Michael Caine, too. Fuck. Apparently, Mario Van Peebles' Jamaican accent came up as Scottish in my head, and I went Australian for Michael Caine. I think my brain's officially closed down for the day.
Although, to be fair, the accent that Mario Van Peebles does in the film is pretty awful, to be fair.
That's because Mario Van Peebles, in general, there's a handful of films I've seen him in that I liked. But he's... okay. I'm reluctant to shit on an actor's entire repertoire, but he is not one of my favorite actors. There's a lot of films he does that he's good in, and there's some where he had to affect like a Jamaican accent. And it was probably one of the worst Jamaican accents that I've ever seen. Gary Oldman pulled off a Jamaican accent better than this guy did.
It's the Jack Black from I Still Know What You Did Last Summer accent.
Yes. Oh, God. I think Jack Black took it from him, though.
Yeah.
You know what Jamaican accent I'm going to lean into? Do you remember watching Jaws 4 with Mario Van Peebles? That's what I want to do. Right there.
But at least he was more engaging than Lance Guest is, who was sleptwalked through the whole film. And there's a scene where he's walking along the beach with, I think, his girlfriend, wife.
You're about to mention it. And
he just runs off.
You mentioned it.
And I'm thinking, did he just think, shit, I'm in Jaws 4, The Revenge, I've got to fucking get out of here? He just ran.
He's just walking along the beach with his wife, then all of a sudden Chariots of Fire start playing in his head and he runs off. You know?
Yeah.
What is this? This is a shark movie. There was no reason for him to run off. They could have had an exposition dump with no problem there.
Yeah.
Why are you running? I don't know.
I'm in Jaws the Revenge. Fuck this shit.
I'm running away. This is not part of the film.
Although he does have my favourite line in the film, which is, I've always wanted to make love to an angry welder, which I think is something I will quote now forever.
Leads her to say, shut the door, and he goes, some other time, you know, just... Okay, well, not for nothing. You got your gardener doing something in the background. It's not a gardener, but he was doing some kind of yard work out in the back over there. Yeah. There's kids passing by the front of the door, and you're about to do something in the corner of the welding shop with the wife, you know? And I like to believe that when later on in the film, when she's presenting her artwork, they're not all gathered around to cheer the artwork. They're just like, hey, we saw your performance earlier. We know how this got made.
What is the name of the artwork? The artwork's got a really pretentious name, isn't it, as well?
Oh, I can't remember the name.
No.
I've already Men in Black whitewashed all of this right out of my brain. Just No, I don't remember the artwork. I remember them talking about it being representative of their culture and how important the Caribbean islands are. And I'm just looking at this thing and I'm like,
which is essentially Jaws teeth.
I mean,
it basically looks like the Jaws teeth, doesn't it?
Shark teeth. Yeah.
Yeah.
However, if sharks don't really come to the Caribbean because of the warm weather, how would that be representative of Caribbean culture at all? Oh, by the way, the what you mentioned, I love how he finished it off. The angry welder quote with "I've dreamed of nothing else since I was a small boy."
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah,
which makes that line so much more creepy. Oh, what set off?
Do you think is it Flashdance? Is that the one with the welder?
Yes,
Do you think he saw that as a child, and that's where that
maybe
came
he got it from Flashdance? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I watched a lot of Flashdance with my dad way back when. It gave me fetishes that you don't want to talk about. We're going to take care of one of those now, though. Just the welding torch.
I don't know. Is Flashdance even before this film?
I honestly don't think so. Actually, well, this is Jaws 4. I believe Flashdance had to have come out before this. I'm looking it up right now. I don't have a researcher, so I have to do Google research. Yeah, 83. Okay. So this came out around the same time as Jaws 3 did.
Okay.
So I don't think he was quite a little boy when this fetish arose, but he was definitely on a cocaine-fueled drive through SeaWorld at the point when he got the welder idea. So you were petting Shamu while I was in the back watching Flashdance, getting this fetish up in my head here.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're saying he was a little kid and he was the one that created the screenplay for Flashdance. Just I sent it off to them. Somebody stole it. They made it into a movie. I don't know. I liked Michael Caine's performance in this film because he's strafing the line between drama and comedy, whereas everybody else is trying to be dramatic.
Yeah.
And the fact that Brody's wife in this film is so over the top dramatic about every single thing. I see why she got the worst nomination. I don't understand how she got the best actress nomination. I mean, kudos. Fantastic.
Yeah.
She's essentially become the Michael Bolton of the acting world. I don't know if you remember, but he got like a worst singer award the same year he got an album for being the award for being the best singer at the Grammys.
Yeah.
So he was nominated, and it was that one album that he did, and they said that he was the absolute worst singer. It was like whatever the Grammys version of the Razzies is for being the worst singer. The same year he got a Grammy for being the best singer.
I mean, I know who Michael Bolton is, but I don't think I could name you a song if you put a gun to my head.
I can only name songs because of the fact that I have seen Office Space. Because I at first, have you ever seen the movie Office Space, Mike Judge's film? There's a character in the film called Michael Bolton, and throughout the entire film, are they like the singer? And he's like, no, not like the singer. This is my name. He's just his own character. And he keeps getting pissed off because they relate him to the singer. And I listened to a little bit of Michael Bolton's music, and I'm like, wow, I don't like this. Because he's got the kind of voice that I always I pictured Kenny G might have if he actually decided to start singing.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
It's like, no, Kenny, just keep with the saxophone. Don't do that. No.
Yeah, isn't it technically white soul music? Is that that he's going for?
He has the same kind of raspy voice that you had with like a Rod Stewart or a Bryan Adams.
Okay.
But not as well affected. Because I would listen to Rod Stewart. I would listen to Bryan Adams. I would listen to Sting. They all have that same kind of weird, that kind of sultry, raspy voice that lends to their music. I think it was just he tried too hard to really belt it out. And you can't really belt that sound out. It's like how would I put it? Mariah Carey with laryngitis. Mariah Carey with laryngitis. That's kind of how, because he really does try to affect those high notes, and he can't do it. He's not a. Sorry, Michael Bolton. There's a reason why you've become sort of a little bit of a joke in the footnotes of musical society, but some people love you. I don't. People are allowed to love what they love. Some people love this film. I don't. Jaws 4 is the Michael Bolton of the Jaws movies, I guess.
Going back to Michael Caine and, his kind of like that thin line that he's walking. My favourite moment of his, though, is when the shark's about to attack him and he just goes, "Oh, shit." Like he just stubbed his toe or something. Not that there was a fucking shark coming to eat him.
Right. There was just... Oh, because he didn't want to be in this. He didn't commit any of this to memory. He was there for the paycheck, and he says so. Yeah. Even before the film was made, as I am there for the paycheck. Yeah. He definitely had some fun lines, like the whole ending sequence where he's talking about taking the 100 nuns to Nairobi.
Yeah, that's it, Nairobi, yeah.
Or I think he haphazardly rattled off, "Oh, bloody hell, the breath on that thing." Which was I just liked his lines in the film. Him and Mario Van Peebles were the ones that made this watchable.
Yeah. I think in the original script, though, I think there was going to be more kind of hinted at that Hoagie was some sort of drug dealer, and that's why the plane was often him then shipping drugs back and forward, which would then make more sense then with Michael's reaction to his mother dating him, which makes no sense. But they didn't want that kind of like the drug aspect to be so pronounced. There's still hints of it, but
there's my brain is going off to the another direction. I do see the connection, though. Like they kept having do you know anything about him, about his background? No, he just showed up on the island one day, and there's definitely some connections to him possibly being a smuggler of some sort, whether that's drugs or other contraband, we don't know. He's definitely a charismatic, swarmy guy, and he ends up by apparently acquiring another plane after crashing one into the water.
Yes, that's a good point.
That was actually one of my favorite lines. He was talking about, they were saying, "Can you go any faster?" He goes, "If I ever go any faster in this thing, we're going to end up being in a rather expensive Cuisinart." Just... I don't think that's the line spot on, but it was, no, if we go any faster into with this thing, it'll turn into a flying Cuisinart and we'll be diced into oblivion. Which was one of my favorite lines of his throughout the film. Another line, not from him, that I enjoyed was the showstopper moment, I want to say, with the daughter. Michael Brody's daughter, just in the middle of them all getting together and having this nice moment. You got Mario Van Peebles and his wife, and you have Brody and his wife, and the daughter just pipes up out of nowhere. And it was like, was Uncle Sean ever bad? Did you ever spank him? And everybody just goes dead silent. And I like to believe that was a terrible sex joke coming out of a little kid's mouth, not an abusive joke.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, is it better to think of it as a terrible joke that everybody took as weird sexual innuendo coming out of a little kid's mouth? Or is it even worse to believe that everybody went, "Oh my God, is Michael beating the crap out of his kid?" in the middle of the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The film is full of these random lines. Like there's there's a scene where they're prepping food and Michael steals like a tomato and Ellen turns to him and says, "Oh, tomato thief, just like your father." What? What?
Oh, there was a weird line we're going back and forth between Michael and Jake where Jake says Michael says something to the comments on his shirt, and Jake retorts back, "Hey man, may your sex life be as busy as your shirt."
Oh yes.
It's like, because I really feel like they were losing the plot. They didn't know how serious they could be with these last two films, and so they leaned into the sex comedy aspect of a lot of slasher films from the 80s. Like, let's just get a lot of these weird innuendos littered throughout the film to keep people's interest so they might not realize that the plot hole is about as big as the screen they're watching it on. You know?
Oh, isn't there a scene as well where Hoagie and Ellen are... No, sorry. Where Ellen and her daughter-in-law are discussing Ellen's sex life. Now, I'm not married, but I wouldn't imagine I would discuss that with my mother, my mother-in-law going, "I hope you're having a good sex life."
Weirdly enough, I don't think this is the first film that I've seen that weird dynamic in. I will tell you that I don't think that was ever a thing with my wife at all. I will tell you that I don't think I've ever experienced that in real life. So I don't know why it is a trope in a lot of these films where the mother is for some reason going, "Hey, I hope you and my son are shagging pretty good,
Well,
hope your sex life's great."
But it's the opposite in this case, though, because it's the daughter-in-law saying to the mother-in-law, "I hope you're going to get some while you're here," kind of thing.
I mean, I guess you have to.
Seems weird to me.
I guess she had to feel like the counterpoint to the son being like, "No, cock block, cock block, cock block" the entire time. Her son was the ultimate cock block the entire film, was just trying to, "Hey, may I dance with my mother? You shouldn't be touching her, come on." Yeah. And then just berates his mother on the dance floor for dating this, or not even dating the guy at this point, but just spending any time with him. "You need to be careful of this guy. You don't know anything about him." And Michael was a downer this entire film. He was the...
And you never got that impression from the other films, that he was this kind of overly protective of his mother.
Well, you don't get that impression in the third film, even remotely. And I guess a little bit as a kid, but you don't... It's just full on in display in this film. Like, it is very... he was depressing in this film, like a really tough character to even like. He seemed like he had come to the brink of some mental health issues, and he literally at one point in the film would rather throw himself back into shark-infested waters than deal with his own mental health issues. So other people were looking out for him, and he was, I guess, instead of dealing with his own mental health issues, he was projecting on his mom and trying to protect her a little too aggressively.
I mean, to be fair, if your mother is saying that I'm psychically linked to a shark, then, there is some issues there that might need dealing with.
Well, nobody believes that she had any psychic connections to the shark the entire film. They just felt that she was being paranoid. Her son treated her as paranoid and naive until the shark actually tried to go for his daughter.
Yeah.
When he realized that, he comes home after throwing himself back in the water. I think it was right after that scene, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like, he was still out. I think
so, yeah.
Mom had finally decided to steal the boat.
The editing, again, is something else that's really bad on this film, because there's a lot of scenes where they cut up the scenes between, like I said, I think it's when Ellen is talking to the daughter-in-law, whose name I can't remember, And then they're cutting to Michael and Jake talking, and they just keep cutting between the two. And there's no reason for it. I don't know why they didn't sit to one scene and do the scene and then cut to the other scene rather than keep interlocking the two of them. And it was really jarring.
I think that's why I have a little bit of trouble kind of keeping the sequence. Again, this is the first time I've ever watched this film. This is the last two Jaws films. I've seen the first two. I have never watched the last two. So this is my first experience with both films. So that's why I can go back over it and be like, okay, well, this is the first time I've watched it. And honestly, both movies were tough to follow and tough to keep the sequence of events in order, because especially with the fourth one, it felt like the sequence of events were a little all over the place.
Yeah.
I really feel like they were spot on with about 90% of their one-liners throughout this film.
Yeah.
So that I want to say, like, one of my favorite lines, I'm going to go back to just rattling off a random line, because Jake has some of the best lines in this film. Hoagie has some of the best lines in this film. I can't think of many lines that came out of Michael outside of the welder one that really were fun to listen to. But Jake said, as they're on the boat and this guy's just kind of reading a book, walks by him and he goes, "Hey man, you're a mental midget. You're still reading all day. You know, if mediocrity were fattening, you'd all be whales." Basically saying that he reads a ton but doesn't retain its shit. It's like, why are you reading? You're not retaining any of that. Do something you're going to remember.
And of course, again, looking at the original cut of the film, Jake dies, and it was at the first screening, people were so upset that he died that they then refilmed it so he survived. But technically, there's no way that he, or Hoagie for that matter, should have survived the end of the film.
Right. So I was watching, so the Blu-ray, the 4K version of this film that I was watching, they have the alternative ending attached to it.
Yeah.
So I got to watch that. And I feel like they did a hard correct to the other direction, because Jake didn't survive, or they didn't really mention whether Jake survived or not. It was just sort of the ending happened. You didn't see Jake. There was no resolution to it. So for me personally, I think that's where I would have kind of drawn the line. Like, I don't know if I like this or you should refilm it. It just didn't feel good. It wasn't entertaining. But the original ending had more graphic scenes with the actual impaling of the shark. Okay, I think I might have lost you again.
And I have returned.
It's all right. Reception issues abound. It's fine. Thankfully, this app is pretty good about making sure that it records the native audio and video, and editing that stuff out should be fine. And I'm once again not going to edit out the part where I acknowledge that we had some reception issues, because it kind of goes with these films. It really does.
Yeah.
Why can't you keep the continuity of the podcast in shape? Oh, well, we had as many issues with our recording as they had with making this film,
The shark made its way over to England and got lost on the way.
Right. It definitely bit whatever cable's keeping this reception up, I'm telling you. So, we were talking about...
Isn't that a film where they kill a shark with electric cables?
The second film in this franchise, Roy Scheider kills the shark by electrocuting it with a buried cable in the water. That's so, I do like they acknowledge the fact that Hoagie shouldn't have gotten out of this technically by basically saying that he spends Jake says he spends half their lives looking for food and the other half eating it. They don't care what it is, and then Hoagie comes up with, well, maybe he's got indigestion. He's already eaten my plane. Because they're trying to figure out why the shark has just disappeared all of a sudden.
Yeah. And also, doesn't Hoagie come out of the water bone dry, which I think is amazing?
Yeah,
when he gets onto the boat, he's bone dry.
Right. Continuity is not a thing that they worried about in this film at all. Not even remotely. Because the way, let's be honest, the way that Jake got taken out at one point during that final sequence, there's no reason he should have lived.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
There's a couple people that probably shouldn't have lived after being attacked by the shark, but we've already passed by Leah Thompson from the other movie, so.
Yeah. But also, isn't it interesting though that the shark, who's supposedly only out for revenge on the Brodies, keeps going on these side quests and eating other people?
Well, I mean, if maybe the shark psychically felt that Jake was in his way, you know. I mean, this did come a little bit later after Jake stabbed him in the face with a tracker. So maybe the shark was pissed. Like, I'm going to remember that. He already wants revenge. Why wouldn't he want revenge for being stabbed in the face, you know? Not for nothing, sharks don't ask for piercings. You know? They're like, it would make these dorsal fins a little bit more beautiful. A couple of lanky rivets in my head, No, nobody wants that. So, like I said, I think that Jake had some of the best lines in the film. He had more lines than Michael Caine, if I'm not mistaken. Michael Caine was definitely treated like a slightly more serious side quest, but every time he got a little too serious, he threw out something that made you just chuckle inappropriately in the middle of a Jaws movie. I'm trying to think about where I feel they could have gone, even if they had gone for another film. Like, I don't think the cruel Jaws was really where they would have gone. And I'm wearing my quick stop groceries thing today because Kevin Smith has recently, he's making a film called Moose Jaws, which is essentially What If Jaws but Canadian Moose.
Yeah. I mean that's a whole subgenre of its own. When we think of Jaws knockoffs, it isn't just shark films. There are so many that follow that same plot, but then just swapped out the animal for different things. I mean, you've got Okra, you've got Grizzly, which is essentially Jaws but with a bear.
Right. And of course, they had Cocaine Bear. They also have a Cocaine Shark movie.
Yes.
And then you get into the
based on a real event.
You get into the kaiju area where they're like a double-headed shark and triple-headed shark, and like, why does the shark have to have as many heads as Cerberus? What's going on here?
Well, in the book, if you remember rightly, there is the 6-headed shark attack film that I cover in the book.
Yep, there is. I remember that. Pardon me, need a little bit of water so I don't start hacking into the microphone. I do remember I think I've seen that film. I say I think because there was a point in my life where I just had these box sets of terrible sci-fi shark movies and alligator movies, and because way back when my family thought it was absolutely hilarious that sci-fi decided to throw their financial weight behind two 80s pop stars to be like the next wave of sci-fi actresses.
Yeah.
And so you get movies featuring Debbie Gibson and Tiffany as serious actresses.
I've seen the one with Debbie Gibson in it. It's one of the Mega Shark films.
Yep.
I think it's Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus.
So Tiffany was involved in some of the it was like a mega crocodile or something.
Okay.
And Debbie Gibson was part of the Mega Shark franchise. And then there was a Mega Shark versus Mega Crocodile movie where they were both in it.
Okay.
So they had to do the crossover before they're just like, this isn't working.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's 4 mecha shark films, so.
I believe she was involved in most of them, if I'm not mistaken.
I know she's definitely in one of them. I've seen 2. I think it's Mecha Shark versus an octopus. I can't remember what it was called, giant octopus or something. And then I've seen Mega Shark versus Colossus, which is shark versus a robot. She's not in that one. That is, again, a crazy film, which includes a Russian robot that's put to sleep, but then accidentally gets activated versus the shark. And at one point, the robot wheels the shark around, throws it into space, it hits the moon, and it comes back.
Okay, so I'm looking at it right now because I figure why not do some research on the fly to fill in a little space here, which is probably something they should have done with the movie we watched, but whatever. So you have Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus.
Yeah.
She was in that.
Yep.
So Debbie Gibson was in that film. Then
Yep.
you have Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus, which was the other film that she was in. At that point, they moved on. So I think they had a Crocosaurus film and a Mega Shark film. And then they decided to do Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus, and they moved on after that. So Debbie Gibson, I believe, was in the 3rd installment, which was Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark.
Okay.
And then they just decided they didn't want to have Debbie Gibson in them anymore, I think.
No, I was going to say she wasn't in that Colossus one, definitely.
No, she definitely wasn't in that.
As per usual with me, I've watched the 1st and the 4th of a series, which is standard for me.
Well, it's not like they're
connected.
I want to say it's not like they really had any kind of continuity. It's from film to film. It's just like, what can we do with Mega Shark now? Okay, let's do that. Okay, well, if we do that, it won't make any sense with the 2nd and 3rd movies that we did. Well, who cares? Just forget those movies exist. We'll just do this. I think those are only 4 movies in that franchise, or that part of the franchise anyway.
Yeah, I think then after they did the Mega Shark films, and they started doing those, what I termed multiple head shark attack. So they then went into 2-headed shark attack, 3-headed shark attack, 4, and then 6. For some reason they thought 5-headed shark attack would be stupid.
Yeah, I mean, 5 heads just too much. Or I should say, 5 heads is just the borderline between too much and not enough. And then they were, well, maybe 6 heads would be fine. And then we ended up with Sharknado.
Yeah, and then they went into the Sharknado films. There was talk about, when I was doing research for the 6-headed shark attack, that they were going to do for the 17th year anniversary of the first film to do a 17-headed shark attack, where they were going to put the heads on the tails as well. And I hope to God that film does not happen, because I'm not quite sure how they would manage to do that with the CGI, because the CGI will not help.
They're gonna cat dog the thing where it's like a 12-headed 2-sided shark attack. I don't know. I mean, you have to.
I'm hoping it was just a throwaway comment that they were just being silly about, but you never know with Asylum what they would actually do.
I would like to say that I love the fact that the Sci-Fi Channel and Asylum Films just one day woke up and said, you know what? There is no humanly possible chance that we're going to be able to make enough money to make as serious a film as we'd like to. So why don't we just go the Troma way and make the most batshit crazy things that we can think of in the cheapest way humanly possible?
I think they've got 2 bags and they've got all different animals or whatever in these 2 bags, and they just pick up 2 things and they go, right, we got spiders and we got earthquakes. Right, let's do arachnoquake. Right, what we got today? We've got snakes.
So it's like
trains. So we'll have snakes on a train. Right, next one.
Like, don't they like they have like a spider and tarantula thing, which is lavalantula.
Yeah, well, no, Arachnoquake is a real film. It is one of their films.
So basically, what they've done is they have a bag of natural and unnatural disasters, and they have a bag of just predators, and just throw them all together. We pick one. Here we go. This is our movie this week.
Yeah. Well, Arachnoquake has Edward Furlong in it, and
what?
Ethan Phillips, as in Neelix from Star Trek.
Edward Furlong, like Terminator 2 Edward Furlong. Oh boy, he's really trying to get back out there.
Edward Furlong Terminator days. Obviously,
no,
he is very much phoning in this performance. If it wasn't for Ethan Phillips, this film would be nearly impossible to watch, but he makes it. But the rest of the film is just a slog.
I think that sci-fi and asylum films, essentially, like, they just reach out. They're like, okay, who is an actor that really was big for a very short period of time that we can reach out to them and give them an opportunity to make a paycheck that means nothing to them in the process.
Yeah.
This is basically just rehashing. That's what Sharknado, the entire franchise, was about. Like, after the first film was more like, okay, let's take Ian Ziering from 90210, and we know that what's her name? Oh, now I can't remember her name. Why am I forgetting her name?
Tara Reid.
Tara Reid. Yes, there we go. Sorry, I don't think about her enough to remember that name. The last time that she had any importance to me, movie-wise, was that terrible Josie and the Pussycats film that they did.
Oh, God, she was in that.
You know what's really bad about Josie and the Pussycats? Is there's 2 versions of that film out there, and essentially the censored version of that film is funnier than the actual film itself.
Wow.
Yeah, they had a censored film because this is when Walmart was in its highly Christian, have to censor music, movies, and everything phase. So they wanted a family-friendly everything. So you got heavily censored versions of films because Walmart would not sell them otherwise. Those are also very hard to find, by the way.
Yeah.
So back to Jaws 4, because I could talk more about Sharknado than I could Jaws 4. Let's be honest, though. I mean, Jaws 4 walked so that Sharknado could fly, literally.
Yeah. And, we're sat here sort of saying, like, how bad Jaws the Revenge is, but it's certainly a more memorable film than Jaws 3D. If you asked me, to spend an hour talking on both of those films, I could probably just about do it for Jaws the Revenge. I'd struggle to do it for Jaws 3D.
Think of it this way. We are talking about all the brilliant one-liners in Jaws the Revenge. There's so many memorable scenes in Jaws the Revenge. Can you think of a one-liner that really hit home in Jaws 3D?
No.
Nothing. The things that I remember about that film are the bad CGI effects and the bad choices for editing.
Yeah. And the dolphins at the end.
And the dolphins, that's a bad choice for editing. I'll give you that. That was like really bad, like Photoshop before Photoshop was a thing. That was like the early like 80s version of Windows or something. We're just going to put some dolphins up there with cheering people in the water, It felt like they were trying for a Jaws version of the ending to The Breakfast Club where, Okay, well, let's see. The Breakfast Club, that was a perfect ending scene, freeze frame on the guy raising his hands. We're going to have her just throw her hands up out of the water, sunset in the back, and this doesn't feel right. What could we use? Spinning dolphins, just... It's like, hey, Dennis Quaid, you said you were on cocaine this entire film, right? You're the one that pitched this, aren't you? So, ooh... I will remember these films now because of how terrible they were. I do not hate them because they were so bad. They were kind of good for being bad. I'll be honest. Yeah, this is my problem. I have a disease. I was mentioning on another podcast that I did recently. I spent an entire movie or podcast episode shitting on Garbage Pail Kids, the movie.
Yeah.
And it is essentially one of the worst films that I have ever seen. But when I really sit back even though I could shit on the film left and right, did I watch the film? Yes. Have I watched it more than once? I've watched it 4 times. Throughout my life, I have dedicated approximately 8 hours of my actual life to watching Garbage Pail Kids, and then another 2 hours subsequently to talk about how bad Garbage Pail Kids was. So that means that I had to have had a certain amount of love for the film to even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's a love to hate film or a hate to love kind of film for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was discussing my my book process with my work colleagues, because I think in their head they thought I watched the film once, write about it, and then that's it, it's done. I'm like, no, I watch the film sometimes with friends, and then I don't take any notes or anything. I just enjoy the film. Then I watch it again later and take notes. And then depending how long it is before the book is published, I may need to watch it again while I've got what I've written up for the book in front of me to make sure that it is accurate to what is going on. So like I said, I'm watching the film at least 3 times. Then there's all the research then that goes into it as well. So it's not just my opinion of the film, it's all the background and stuff like that. So I am spending probably, like you said, several hours on a film that actually I hate in some cases. It's films that make me want to tear out my eyes, but I have to do it because I want to get across how much I hated it.
Okay, I want to say this. There are many films that I love for the wrong reasons. Okay. A lot of people love the original Evil Dead film. Okay.
Yeah.
For many reasons, I have brought people over to my home. I had that on VHS for the longest time. I now have a Blu-ray copy of it. I've had a DVD copy of it. Because, first of all, I love Bruce Campbell. I've always loved him as an actor. I think he's highly underrated. However, this particular film does not... is not good enough that I should have watched it probably 30 times throughout my life. The reason why I've watched it approximately 30 times throughout my lifetime is there's just scenes in that film that if you know somebody has never watched the film before, you put on the film, you get out your popcorn, you lower the lights, and then half the time you're watching the movie, and then you know something's coming up and you're watching the person for the reaction.
Yeah.
So before YouTube was a thing and they had reaction videos.
Yeah.
You got your friends, you gathered them together, like, let's see how they're going to react to this bullcrap. With that film last night, with Jaws 3, seeing my son just absolutely break down, almost crying, laughing at that ending. Yeah!
Yeah.
Oh.
I think, going back to Evil Dead for a second, and I think I may have mentioned this before, I highly recommend watching an Amicus anthology series, one of the films. It's called Tales That Witness Madness. And there is a short in there where Joan Collins has to fight against a tree for the love of her husband. And it ends in a very, very weird way. And I think that Sam Raimi must have seen that to get a thought process for Evil Dead.
I vaguely remember you mentioning this the first time that we had you on the podcast. I now, after having heard this the second time, I really need you to send me the information for that, because the idea of Joan Collins going to battle with a tree for any reason, I have to see that. Just don't matter if it's good or bad. I have to at least see it. There's just some things that you have to see for yourself, because you can talk about it all day.
Yeah.
But if you don't
and
see
that is a problem in the book.
Joan Collins,
sometimes I think, yeah.
If you don't see Joan Collins fighting a tree, you don't get the effect.
No.
Was it an actual tree? Or
yes,
it's an actual tree. All right. So the only thing that in the top of my head is I'm picturing what was that Joan Collins biopic that they did, where she essentially got in the garden and started just hacking up the trees in the garden, just went batshit crazy.
No, it's not quite like that.
Mommy Dearest. That's the film that I'm thinking of.
That is, sorry, that might be me then. That's Joan Crawford.
Joan Crawford. You're talking Joan Collins. Sorry.
Collins.
This happens in my brain a lot. Trust me.
Yeah, no. It stayed with me as well.
There was an entire...
I doubted what I said.
I have an entire podcast episode where we were talking about Will Ferrell, and my brain kept telling me, call him Will Smith, call him Will Smith, call him Will Smith. So, and these two people they don't remotely look alike, but my brain was saying, you know who Will Ferrell could be mixed up with? You know, that guy, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Yeah. Call him that. I mean, both kind of punchable, but yeah. So, is there anything else about Jaws 4 in general that you think just stands out? He asks, and then the reception goes down again. I think we lost you again. I'll wait right here. Welcome to part 3 of the editing room floor. Welcome back again. This will be a heavily edited, almost Jaws 4-esque version of this podcast. It's fine. That's why I like this, because if it had dipped out on any other thing that I was recording on, the amount of editing that I would have to do would be insane. So, so as I was asking before the reception decided to dip into the deep blue, is there anything else for Jaws 4 do you feel that actually stood out as a good movie, not necessarily a bad movie? As a thinker? Oh. Is my audio not coming over?
I think it just froze again.
Okay. So yeah, well, that'll happen too. I was just asking if there's anything that stood out for the Jaws 4 film that you feel would make it a good movie, not necessarily a bad movie.
I think we've touched upon a lot of what made it a good film, and it is the performances of anybody that wasn't a Brody, essentially.
I feel like Michael Caine and or Mario Van Peebles, even with his terrible Jamaican accent, probably could have gotten a not an award, but definitely did better than Ellen Brody in the film.
Yeah.
As far as
and
I'm
Lance
concerned,
Guest.
anyway. I'll be honest with you. Like, I think so little about him in this film that I forgot that he was there for a minute. Mike Brody is in this film too. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, even Karen Young, who played Carla Brody, did a better job than Lance Guest did. Yeah, Karen Young, Carla Brody. My brain went. And in all honesty, Lynn Whitfield was in this film, who's actually a very famous face even now. You know, doing films like Eve's Bayou, so on and so forth. She's kind of a staple on television now. And I did not realize that Melvin Van Peebles, Mario Van Peebles' dad, was actually in this film as Mr. Witherspoon.
Oh, okay.
So, mind you, I saw that and then I had to go back like, who the hell is Mr. Witherspoon? It's like I realized Melvin was there. Okay, great. Now I have to go back. Where, though? Who is Mr. Witherspoon? And if you ask me right now, I still can't place him. I'll be honest.
No, I just nodded and went,
Yeah, he was definitely that guy.
Yeah.
From somewhere. I mean, that was nice. A little bit of nepotism. Mario's like, hey, if I'm going to be here, you have to have my dad at least for a cameo. You know?
Yeah.
But I watched this film twice, and I don't think I went, oh, Melvin, you know? No. Just, so I saw Mario. I knew Mario. Melvin, nope, had no idea.
Yep.
I think even Mario, my apologies. I talked about Melvin a little too much. I think Mario Van Peebles actually could effectively be considered more of a protagonist than Mike Brody was in this film.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So Mike Brody, I believe technically you could have killed him off and it would have effectively been the same movie.
Yeah.
So you could have killed off all the Brody men, sent Ellen to the Caribbean to spend time with her daughter-in-law who's mourning, and it still would have been of the same film, effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Possibly a little less banter between Jake and Mike, but yeah.
And we wouldn't have the angry welder quote.
So while I could probably talk about Jaws and Jaws: The Revenge a little bit longer, I feel like the reception might be giving us a warning sign again. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to wrap this up today. And I'm just going to say, why don't you go ahead and give our listeners a little bit of information on your current project and where they can find your book.
So the first book is the A to Z of the So Bad They're Good, the Bad and the Ugly horror films. That is available through Amazon, regardless of what country you're in. I am pretty much finished on book 2, so the follow-up of So Bad They're Good, etc. It just needs to be edited. And I'm also doing an A to Z of wonderfully weird films, so I can look at other stuff than just horror films. So I got stuff like kung fu films, musicals, still plenty of horror in there because that is my bag, but stuff that's possibly overlooked because it's not mainstream. But it's still good, actually genuinely good films.
All right. And you can find our podcast literally wherever podcasts are found. I haven't written a book. I don't think I don't think I have the time with my current 9-to-5 job in this podcast to do any kind of writing, honestly. If I find the time somewhere in the future, fantastic. But I think it would be more of a, let me go and see if I can write an absolutely terrible movie that's the Sci-Fi Channel might want to pick up someday. I'd write a screenplay.
Hoagie and his nuns film.
But that being said, you can also find us on YouTube. Pardon? See, this is me telling you that the reception, we kind of are having issues again. So I didn't quite hear that, but I will go back because this does record the native audio and video and will upload effectively. You just got to stay logged in this time, or not. So on behalf of myself and Miss Beverly, thank you for sitting down and watching this particular episode with all of the technical glitches, issues, and the low budget quality you've come to expect from our beautiful asses here at Cinematic Anarchy. And as Miss B is always fond of saying, drink some water, you thirsty bitches, or something else that I could possibly rattle off and say that would sound a little bit more like me, because thirsty bitches are, regardless of the fact that I might be terribly thirsty, doesn't really sound good rattling off of my tongue.